Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session today. I'm excited to introduce you to Mega Goal 3.1. Today, we'll be exploring Unit 4, which is all about the world of TV. We'll focus on conversation and listening skills that will help you understand and talk about television shows. Throughout this presentation, we'll cover key concepts, useful vocabulary, and practical activities to boost your understanding. I'm looking forward to sharing this journey with you. Let's get started. On this slide, we're looking at the lesson objectives for today. First, we'll focus on understanding the meaning of some new words, which is essential for expanding your vocabulary. Next, we'll explore specific information from a TV interview about office design, helping you practice extracting key details. We'll also work on how to agree or disagree with opinions expressed in conversations, a useful skill for engaging in discussions. Additionally, there will be some comprehension questions about the conversation to check your understanding and encourage critical thinking. You'll also see the words deduce, listen, practice, and answer. These highlight the main activities you'll be doing. Deduce means to figure things out based on clues, which ties into understanding the conversation better. Listening carefully, practicing your skills, and answering questions are all part of actively engaging with the material. Remember, these objectives are designed to help you improve both your understanding and your ability to communicate effectively about office design topics. So, keep these goals in mind as we move through the lesson. So, in this scene, they are watching a basketball game. You might wonder, what exactly are they watching? Well, it's a basketball game, which is a very popular sport worldwide. Now, take a look at how many people are there. There are two persons shown in this image. And who are they? Their names are Fod and Adele. It's important to note that these two individuals are the focus here, and their interaction or their reactions could tell us a lot about what they're experiencing. Also, if you observe the percentages, 10% and 20%, these might represent their attention levels, engagement, or perhaps some measurement related to their focus during the game. And as we move forward, keep in mind that understanding their behavior and engagement can help us better analyze how people interact with sports events, which ties back to our overall theme of observing and interpreting human reactions in different settings. So, what was he thinking? Well, he thought that the key player of the Bulls team didn't perform well. It's interesting because even the most important players can sometimes fall short, and that can really influence how the game unfolds. He also found the Bulls' cowhide tops to be quite ridiculous. It's a small detail, but it shows how even the uniforms or gear can stand out and sometimes seem out of place or amusing, depending on your perspective. Now, shifting gears a bit, what about Fod? What did Fod dislike about the players? Interestingly, he thought the game was exciting. So, despite some criticisms or oddities he might have noticed, he still found the overall experience thrilling and engaging. And then there's Adele's perspective. What did he like about the game? Well, he appreciated the conversation around it. It's not just about the game itself, but also about the discussions, the interactions, and the energy that the game sparked among people. Overall, these points help us understand different perspectives. That performance, appearance, excitement, and social interaction all play a part in how we perceive and enjoy the game. It's a good reminder that everyone brings their own viewpoint, which adds depth to our overall understanding of the experience. All right, now let's move on to slide 5. I want you to listen carefully to the conversation again. As you do, pay close attention to the expressions that are written in blue. Your task is to underline those specific phrases. This exercise will help you become more aware of key expressions and how they function in real conversations. Remember, identifying these expressions is not just about recognizing the words, but also understanding their role in communication. By focusing on these, you'll improve your ability to use similar expressions naturally in your own conversations. So, let's give it a try and see how many blue expressions you can spot this time. Let's take a closer look at some common phrases that often come up in discussions about perceptions and attitudes. First up, who says doze off? This phrase is used when someone suggests that falling asleep or losing focus is easy or inevitable. It's important to recognize that staying engaged requires effort, and we shouldn't dismiss the tendency to drift away as something trivial. Next, we have, "Who says a dime dozen?" This expression points to something being very common or abundant. While it's true that some things are easily available, we need to consider their true value and what makes them unique or worthwhile despite their abundance. Then there's, "Who says hard to swallow?" This phrase is about ideas or facts that might be difficult to accept or believe. It highlights the importance of understanding different perspectives and being open to challenging truths. Finally, "Who says just?" This is more of a vague phrase, but it can be used to dismiss or simplify complex issues, implying that something is merely trivial or insignificant. Throughout our discussion, the key is to see beyond these surface-level expressions and understand the deeper meaning and context behind them, connecting these ideas to our overall goal of critical thinking and effective communication. Fod is the one who uses all of these expressions. Now, let's take a moment to read the phrases and understand their meanings. These expressions are important because they can help us communicate more effectively and naturally in different situations. As we go through them, I want you to pay attention to how Fod applies these expressions in his conversations. Remember, mastering these phrases will give you more confidence and fluency when speaking. So, let's look at each one carefully and see how they fit into everyday communication. So, when we ask, "What did he say?" we're really trying to understand the message or the point that was communicated. Sometimes, that message can be a bit difficult to accept or believe, which is why I often find that a bit hard to swallow. It's a common reaction when we're faced with information that challenges our assumptions or comfort zones. In fact, I've found that a bit hard to swallow myself in certain situations, when the facts are surprising or when the implications are significant. But it's also important to recognize that saying, "I find it a bit hard to swallow," is a way of expressing skepticism or hesitation. It's a natural part of processing new or unexpected information, especially when it impacts our understanding or beliefs. Throughout this presentation, we're exploring how to better interpret and respond to information, even when it's challenging. So, keep in mind that feeling this way is normal, and learning how to navigate those moments is a key part of effective communication and critical thinking. What did he say? Well, this slide highlights a common phrase we hear often. "Those guys are a dime a dozen." It's an idiomatic way of saying that these people are very common, easily found, or not particularly special. Sometimes you'll see it written as "those guys are a dime a dozen," which isn't correct, or "those guys are a dime a dozen," which is the proper form. The key point here is understanding what this expression really means. It emphasizes the idea that some people or things are so plentiful that they lack uniqueness or value. In the context of our overall discussion, recognizing idioms like this helps us better understand how language reflects our perceptions of value and rarity. It also reminds us to be precise with language, especially when expressing ideas about importance or uniqueness. So, when you hear someone say this, now you'll understand the underlying message, that the subject is quite common or not particularly remarkable. What did he say? Well, sometimes we might not catch everything, especially when we're distracted or tired. You can see here how easily our attention can drift, leading us to miss important details. "Oh, I have dozed off again." It's a common experience, isn't it? Even when we're engaged, fatigue or monotony can cause us to drift off mentally. "Oh, I dozed off again." That's a reminder of how crucial it is to stay mindful and present. And "oh, I dozed off it again." Sometimes our minds just need a break. But this highlights an important point. Understanding these lapses can help us improve focus and communication, especially in scenarios where active listening is vital. Remember, staying aware of these moments allows us to better manage our attention and ensure we're truly understanding what's being said. Let's talk about some of the common issues we've seen with spaces that don't quite meet expectations. Often, these spaces are described as satisfying, or at least meeting what people needed at the time. But the problem is, they aren't necessarily stylish or functional, which can lead to disappointment. For example, they might not be modern enough or lack anything particularly good. Sometimes, you get a space with superb style, but it just isn't functional for daily use. Additionally, we see staff isolated in cubicles, which can impact collaboration and team dynamics. When a space is described as aesthetically suburban, it suggests it might look nice, but perhaps feels disconnected or out of place in an urban or modern context. A recurring theme here is that these environments often don't meet the actual needs of their users, leading to functional problems despite the initial design intentions. And when we listen carefully to feedback, we find that balancing style, function, and meeting needs is crucial. This slide underscores that, without addressing these core issues, spaces can fall short of their potential and impact overall satisfaction. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Let's take a moment to look at this sequence of letters. E, G, H, a C, B, I, D, and F. At first glance, it might seem random, but what I want to highlight is how these points or elements are interconnected and how they build upon each other. Each letter represents a key concept or step in our overall process. For example, starting with E, we set the foundation, and then moving to G and H, we see the progression and development of ideas. The sequence, C and B, shows how initial ideas evolve into more refined actions. As we continue through I, D, and F, it underscores the importance of revisiting and refining our approach, ensuring all parts work harmoniously. This sequence illustrates how each component, while distinct, plays a vital role in the bigger picture. It ties back to our overall theme of integration and systematic progression. The key takeaway here is that success depends on understanding how these elements connect and influence each other, guiding us toward a cohesive outcome. Now, for your homework, please refer to your workbook and go to exercise H on page 258. I want you to spend some time thoroughly exploring the key points we've discussed today. Think of this as an opportunity to solidify your understanding and see how these concepts apply in practice. Remember, the most important concepts are highlighted here because they form the foundation of what we've covered. Make sure you connect these points to the overall theme of our presentation, which is about effective communication and understanding the core principles that drive success. Take your time with this exercise and don't hesitate to revisit any sections that feel unclear. Doing this will help reinforce your learning and prepare you for the next steps.